Welcome to part 31 of the 2023 NFL Draft. We're almost there, just got the Rams and Cardinals left to go. And for the Rams, I kind of have to wonder what the hell all these teams are thinking, given a team that has a Super Bowl level potential, this amount of draft picks. But at the very least, pretty much all of these are day 3 selections, 4th rounders or worse, so it's kind of a question of how much value could the Rams have really gotten here. So we'll be kicking this off with guard Steve Avila. And considering how many times I was watching the Rams quarterbacks getting pummeled last year, I can pretty much agree with any sort of help this offensive line gets. And we'll go over a little bit of how I ascertained the likelihood of a offensive line doing well. It's basically the stat here: games played to games started. So Coleman Shelton's got 56 versus 15. That implies reasonably tenured backup sort of player, tends to not be on the field. Logan Bruss hasn't been on the field yet, but he's a third rounder in his second year, so there's potential there. Tremaine Ankrum, 14-1 over like 4 seasons, so yeah, not much to see there. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the guard position according to Wikipedia. So that suggests to me someone's coming over from tackle or Avila was drafted to be a starter. So that's kind of how I do that. It's a very basic, not always accurate way of doing things, but it's just how I do it. So we'll take a look at Avila, see how he does. Yep, 79, I'm pretty sure. It's pushed back, but keeps this guy in front of him. So one thing I notice is that he does seem kind of over focused on the guy that he engages. I don't see very much in the run game of him pushing that initial guy off on, those sort of pull plays and then moving up to engage the next guy. It's just him kind of being an anchor, keeping the guy in front of him, directing him enough to move him around. And this kind of, I think, fits for the Rams because really their running game is basically non-existent. This is a very pass-heavy team, which in a way I think is to their pretty much to their discredit, because while the Rams won a Super Bowl very recently, their fall off last season, between the injuries and everything else, really shows the weakness of this team in that regard. They can't run the ball that effectively, and it pretty much just lets defenses tee off on Matt Stafford, focus on the passing game. And I think that part of the problem last year was they just straight up got figured out. From the drop, they were getting their ass beat by teams like the Bills. So, and that further reinforces my belief that the Bengals threw that Super Bowl. I don't think the Rams should have won that game. So, I think Sean McVay needs to stop pushing the NFL narrative that you don't need a running back, because this team absolutely does. But the fact that they don't kind of allows you to have this guard that doesn't really look like he's that good at really opening the lane for a running back, because this isn't a running team. All he's got to do is make sure the guy he's blocking doesn't get to Matthew Stafford. It's like, how hard is that when you're literally a freaking brick? So, next up comes over to the defensive side of the ball with Byron Young from Tennessee. This is the second Byron Young I think we've seen in this one. It was from one that came out of Alabama as well. So, and this is a pretty decent statistical line. Good activity in the run stuffing game, and a bit of good value in rushing the quarterback as well. But I'm going to check real quick because I'm not entirely sure. Oh, okay. Aaron Donald seems to be over here. Yeah, I was kind of looking at that, wondering if I was like, okay, could this be a potential Aaron Donald replacement? Because Donald's getting older, he's already been mulling retirement. It's a matter of time, and everybody knows it. So,
he broke his collarbone.
I'll take a look here.
Off the play fake. In the flat, Bartholomew taken down immediately. Score in the first half. And he gets swung down for a loss by Byron. They would try a field goal after 2 misses in this half. Patty sacked. Back at the 17.
Byron Young came underneath Carter Warren, and you can see that left leg get kind of
It's on third down. Daniels under pressure. And he goes down back at the 43-yard line.
Okay, defensively, and then what happens is you wrap around. You collapse the middle of that defensive line, you wrap around with Bumpus, and it becomes a sack. They put 5 guys across the line.
Here comes the blitz. Daniels, he's going to get sacked on 4th down. Back on
Young, that's inside seam right there. You get left guard, center, right guard, the field, and now Young comes inside of the replacement at left tackle, and
now it's 3rd down and 8. Pass rush, gets home, again, down goes Jaden Daniels.
Young split that right side and left side of that defensive line. The end goes first, and the tackle.
4 games, but he should be raring to go for the stretch run. Volunteers all over him that time. Rodriguez stacked up, fights hard, loses.
Good effort here, both on the inside. Just look at the strength and quickness there, winning your gap. And that is a load in the inside with what Thomas can do and push.
Yeah, I think with the appropriate time, some of these other better pass rushers on this Rams team, if they take the time to kind of teach what they know to Byron, then he could be a pretty good 3rd-round selection. So, from the start, I would see this as a likely backup selection, but maybe not for very long. And we'll go through here again just to get kind of an idea of what the other outside linebackers are like. No stats there. Practice squad guy, most likely. Same thing here. A lot of other rookies at this spot. 3 years, not too much there, and another, practice squad sort of guy. So really, there's no, guys that are listed here as outside linebackers that are actually, starter level guys. So maybe he might be a starter from the very beginning if that's where they're going to play him, and then this is how the general scheme of the defense is going to look. Though I wouldn't be too surprised if Aaron Donald's not actually playing defensive tackle. I don't know what the hell they're on about there. But yeah, that could be an interesting pick pretty early on. So next up we have defensive tackle Kobe Turner, Wake Forest. Not a school I usually see too many players coming out of. 1-year starter. And this is about what I expect to see from an interior D lineman. About 30 some odd tackles a year, 10 for loss, 2 sacks. Can get his hands up, sometimes involved in fumbles. So, this is one of those, another player. We'll go ahead and see what they got here.
It's into the game.
It's into the game. They'll run it again here on second down and nowhere to go.
Kobe Turner has been a one-man wrecking crew in the middle of that Wake Forest defensive front. Just getting up the field.
5 dual threat quarterback in the country out of high school. He chose NC State over Nebraska and Georgia Tech, but this goes nowhere.
Coleman cuts it back inside. Not a lot of running room, though. Right into the teeth of that Wake Forest. Get back to running the football on the ground.
In trouble in the backfield is Ward. Wrapped up by Kobe decision to come to Wake because he thinks it'll help him get to the next level.
Well, Kobe Turner's been fantastic for this defensive line. You see him just get
Program, mostly 3 stars, and then they developed them. That was a very strange freeze by Uyunglele with nobody coming to help him execute.
I had to guess. I would guess that the running back is the one who made a mistake there, Phil Maffa, not the quarterback.
this year there at Memphis.
Here's Trayshawn Ward trying to cut it back. And the ball comes out, and it was recovered momentarily.
Years ago, but also moving the pocket on that last play. Give to Raymond. There's a little bit of a seam inside.
Game. Often in there in passing situations, he blocked. Uyunglele lost the football at the 20.
Yeah, if Turner could overpower guards at the NFL level the way he does in college here, then this could be an excellent run-stuffing pick, but it's going to depend really on what they got going here at defensive tackle, or nose tackle, however they want to play this. That's what I really think this is probably going to end up coming down to. So, another one to keep an eye on, but I won't really say one way or the other of how I see him in terms of being a starter or not, because that one's hard to call. So, next up we have a quarterback I've been looking forward to, because this guy's pretty much been beating the ever-living crap out of all the other top quarterbacks in this class, and yet was picked substantially behind them. And I've heard there was some off-the-field stuff with him getting drunk, kind of being a party boy, bit of a toxic mentality at times, but some of that's really overblown. You know, like a good 40% of it was just him talking during the, national championship celebration. It's like, really? You're gonna bash a guy for not really wanting to talk to the media or something on the day where it's about celebrating what they've accomplished? And there's a certain element of going after somebody when they're actually a jackass, and then there's making an ass out of somebody that just wants to be left alone on a day that is about him. So we'll take a look at likely the Rams' new backup quarterback, Stetson Bennett.
McIntosh picking right up where they left off. Strange play fake. Bennett, look out. Here comes a posse of Ducks. And it's a touchdown. Even when it looked like Bennett was in trouble, he got loose and McConkey scores again. Bennett, shake and bake, touchdown. Stetson Bennett.
Wow. Colin
So he's got a decent little bit of mobility. Nothing special, but he can move.
Yep.
Bennett down the middle to the end zone. Touchdown, Darnell Washington.
Title game, national championship game against the Tide. Now he shows his running skills and weaves into the end zone. Not sure I'd want the quarterback running with a 31-0 lead, but it all works. This is an 11-yard touchdown run.
Dejon Edwards behind Stetson Bennett, who's under center with Brock Bowers, the motion man. Play fake. Bennett loads it. Fires to the end zone. McConkey touchdown.
Pretty much right on the dot.
6 more points for Georgia.
And a back shoulder throw and a catch and a touchdown. A.D. Mitchell. play fake. Wanted Bowers, settles for the other tight end, Washington. Touchdown, Georgia.
Bennett, pressure coming. Got away from one man, and now he's going to tuck it and go with it. Got the first down. He might have the touchdown.
All right, so I'm going to come back to the stat line, just get a gauge on his accuracy. 65% over his 4 seasons. That's pretty good. The touchdowns, I think, could be a little higher. I will say the defense was probably carrying just a little bit. But in terms of the running game, you got another 10 touchdowns in his final year there. So that's a pretty good rate of, scoring. So overall, I kind of see this as one of those oddball selections of, obviously, we're not going to see Stetson Bennett get a real shot unless Stafford gets injured or when it comes time that Stafford retires if Bennett is still around. But should that chance occur, I would probably give him a chance to show if he can do something with that kind of a chance. So one of those quality backup picks that, if everything bounces the right way, could end up being a starting quarterback down the road. But we'll see what happens there. I've said that for a couple Georgia quarterbacks before. They're one of those colleges that does well at producing good-looking quarterbacks that aren't that good. Has a habit of screwing with something big, so. Next up, we move into the 5th round selections with linebacker Nick Hampton. And the stat line tends to show immediately what kind of linebacker we're looking at here. The tackle stat in particular. Yeah, this says outside linebacker. Especially the sack numbers the last 2 years, 11 and 7, 18 over 2 years. That's definitely not something you're going to see too many inside linebackers doing. So we'll see how this one goes. Because this is a potential point of weakness in that defense. They do appear to need players here, so.
Lane Hatcher chased down from behind and comes in to make the play, and it's 3rd and long.
Yeah, there's pressure coming off the right edge that time. Fake handoff to Coates, and the pocket collapses. Brown had nowhere to tonight against App State. Run of the option. And Reese White devoured, but McCall is sacked.
Nick Hampton, defensive end off to the left side of your screen right here. He's listed as an outside linebacker, but he's
too wide to the bottom of your screen. Centeno pressure, lost the football. Picked up by App State, then lost again. Who's got it? Who wants the pigskin? As the sit back. To Avery. Zepsic coming back, and he's tackled.
linebacker.
Ranger throws on 3rd down and 8. Has to evade the rush, and now they get it. At the line of scrimmage, the ball came loose. And the Mountaineers have it. What a start to the second half for.
Okay, so this does look like a player who is probably a little bit better than the conference that he was playing in. So it makes it a bit hard for me to judge because you don't really see how he does against that higher level of competition, but you know that he was a little bit better than what he was facing. So I would put this down as one of the players that, with time and coaching, this is another potential high-quality backup, I would say, because I don't know if I quite saw a starter there, but this is definitely one of those backup players that you could see end up seeing quite a bit of through a season, year after year. Make a couple good plays for your team every now and again. And that's why you draft guys like this, and not everybody's a starter, not everyone's a practice squatter. Sometimes you just get these guys that are squarely in the middle of, you see them, they do some interesting things at times, and you just take the good with the bad. Like, you know, and a backup corner gets burned because they got put on the wrong receiver. So, next up we've got offensive tackle Warren McClendon from Georgia. So, automatically, he's got a little knowledge of defending Stetson Bennett. So, that could be good if worst comes to worst, because I wouldn't imagine that he's going to be a starter, you know, round versus a team. We'll go through this. 1 down. Pretty sure this is one of the starters. 53-23, been here a while, usually on the field in some capacity or another. There's a player that's looking like a flop going forwards for 5 years. Yep, there's the other starter. 108. That's one of those guys that you can pretty much guarantee they're going to be playing. So, yeah. Definitely, I would say a backup selection here, as we'll go over to the video and take a look at what you can do. So we're looking for right tackle, so that would probably be him over here, I think. That's interesting. If it is 73, they move him around a little bit, and that's a good bit of versatility. A guy that knows how to play more than one position on the offensive line. You can basically mix and match his spot however you like, depending on what the team needs if you're going to play him. So yeah, that makes for a bit of an interesting pick, because I'm pretty sure that is a player that can be moved around, and that is an interesting thing to have, you know. So this could be one of those ones of backup or one position one game, backup another game. So depending on any injuries, he could pop up in a number of spots, and looks like he could do a reasonable job, but any long-term starting, I think, would take a couple seasons sitting on the bench, watching, learning, getting coached up. The whole 9 yards, basically. So, next up comes a tight end, Davis Allen. And I don't really expect much from a 6th-round tight end, so I'd be surprised to really see anything here. And yeah, that's about what I'd expect. A sort of blocking tight end sort of stat line. Took a step up in his final year in Clemson, but not a huge step. Doubled the yards, but only really added a touchdown or 2 over the previous years, so
in the game for Boston College. Uyunglele under pressure finds Davis Allen at midfield. And he's down at the...
Davis Allen, the tight end. Both tight ends on the same side of the field. Somehow a breakdown in coverage. Allen, and again, the courageous throw by DJ under duress.
Uyunglele kept it. Davis Allen has the touchdown.
Working against the safety, Mustafa. But you throw this ball high enough, and your tight end who bodies him up, he's the only guy...
Cut loose rather than just try to stay in gaps and hold up blockers. Here's Davis Allen, lots of running room. He goes up and over. Not an athlete in today's college football.
He does, and somehow he got...
Faked it to Shipley. He throws to the end zone. Caught! Davis Allen.
10 and 200. It's an intentional back shoulder throw to a tight end running down the seam. It's perfect coverage, but you...
Uyunglele from the pocket, going deep. And it's caught for a first down by Davis.
And firm and strong. Good platform, and base steps into this throw, and it's a dime. Up top.
I don't really see a starter here, but what I do see is a potential situational sort of player. This is the sort of tight end I feel that you could plug in inside the goal line And because he has that value within that range, a defense is going to have to pay attention to him, or it's going to be basically free points. So, not really, I don't think a starting level player, even on a team like this, that doesn't honestly have a really properly special guy. You can come for me on that. I've had Tyler Higbee in fantasy football. He is not that great. You can have a game every now and again, but he is definitely no top of the league type of pass catching tight end. So Davis Allen could have a bit of a role inside the 20 there if the Rams want to use him that way, but considering all the options they've got in the wide receiver aspect, I would say that the likelihood that we're going to see a lot of Davis Allen is pretty low. Next up, we get a new receiver for the Rams, Puka Nacua. I hope that's his name. Washington and BYU, so not expecting too much on the stat line here. And yeah, it looks like this season could have been better than the previous one, but did have less games played. That suggests that he might have had an injury or something going on there, so. But yeah, can't really break 1,000 yards. Wasn't really able to establish himself on a better program and a bit more of a competitive scene, so not really expecting to see anything too flashy here, especially
Year 7 as the head coach here at Provo.
Because they've got a lot of receivers they can use.
Don't want to leave open. Nacua inside the 40, gets rid of the defender, and takes it all the way for the touchdown. 65 yards.
Standing alongside Hall in the gun. On the jet sweep, Puka Nacua with space. And Nacua across midfield. Nacua breaking away.
I've seen better looking players than that doing that, so not too impressed.
Hall will swing it quickly. This is Nacua, his third touch. He has the first down. He is in open field. Puka Nacua will score. Absolutely electric.
Yeah, I'm ready to move off from this player. I've seen enough gadget receivers in my time to know that you have to be an absolute freak of nature to have any real value when playing in that capacity, and most of them don't. Most of them don't have long-term value either, even among the ones that do have value, so that's nah. We might see him a couple times here and there if the Rams want to get tricky, but you don't pick a player like that and expect them to just be doing trick shit, because the trick shit only looks smart when it works. Most of the time, it doesn't work. That's why most Patriots fans hated Josh McDaniels. So yeah, we'll move along to the next pick. Cornerback, Travius Hodges-Tomlinson. Tackles continuously go up, but it ain't too bad, considering the amount of games played goes up each time as well, so 26 becoming 41 after 5 games ain't bad. Picked up 9 more with 3 more games ain't too bad. The pass deflections to interceptions, though, is crazy. 36-5. Good lord, man. Can you catch a football? So, we'll come over here and take a look, but considering the Rams' secondary hasn't been that bad in recent memory, though they did just lose Jalen Ramsey and trade him off to the Dolphins, I don't really see too much chance of this guy being an impact sort of player, but you never know.
When he was in the portal, only TCU responded. They are thrilled that they did. 3rd down and 4 for Michigan. McCarthy, receiver into as well.
So really nowhere to go with the football. It hit Hodges Tomlinson, and we should note also Roman will
just, not just staying there, but like surviving. I mean, college football is a ruthless job.
On 4th and 17, and he will just launch downfield into traffic, and that was incomplete.
Yeah, it looked like he had it, and then he ends up high point to ball, try to locate the ball. Ball comes out.
So TCU will take over. 4:46 to go.
The game.
Another interception. That should put it away.
So again, you're sliding, your eyes are moving, you're trying to throw it back across your body and not enough on it. Knowles had no shot at that.
McGowan. He's got a burst when he finds some
completions, get him going.
Up to play action. That launch downfield for Worthy into double coverage, and it's intercepted by Hodges Tomlinson.
Yeah, that's about what I expect. He's not very aggressive on the tackles, which lets guys get back to the line of scrimmage, pick up yards they shouldn't get. And the interceptions basically just show all he's really capable of catching are literal arm punts. So I'd expect this to be a almost cut fodder pick. So next up comes defensive end O'Shawn Mathis from Nebraska. This one's, we're starting to more obviously get into the blatant depth picks, because there's nothing too special here. He pretty much peaked in his third season. Probably should have gone to the NFL from off of that. Much better likelihood of not being a late round draft pick, but that's what happens. And of all the times to transfer, you do it the year that the team ends up going to the national championship, so that's a bit of an ouch, even though TCU did get blown out.
Second down, Helinski. Pressure coming right up the middle. 6-inch war, I should say. Metric system conversion. Helinski on the roll. 2 to snap it. Got to go. There he does on a 3rd down and 12. Helinski over the middle, and that's not going to be
showing his teammates he's got some toughness.
52 catches at Illinois, as here is Andrew Clare out of the backfield. The 3rd run.
Looks like they're going to play zone again.
O'Shawn Mathis standing up, and this is a run for Northwestern, and Port. 1st down. Helinski off his back foot, throws it, and
overall, for what I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, because, it's like, you're not doing too hot at beating Northwestern's blocking. Even the 1 year they were good, Northwestern was very overrated in the college football scene. I don't know how many arguments I had over Northwestern not being that good of a football team. So, yeah, that's just another throwaway 6th rounder. So, next we get running back Zach Evans. And I'd be more excited for this pick if it were basically not the Rams making the selection, because we get the same old that we get from the Rams in terms of the running backs. The stat line is not impressive. He's not a pass catcher. He's not particularly special in the run game. Some injury problems, which that's going to go real well in the NFL with how the Rams seem to be cursed at running back. So probably another fold and forget type of pick.
Evans
I'll
has
just
some
go
room.
from that to that.
And then some. Zach Evans going the distance.
Career high for Griffin Kell is 52. They'll run it here. Evans a 1st down. Evans a lot more across the.
Gives it to him. And Evans is in for the touchdown.
I cannot wait. We got a little taste of that last night. Sounds great. As Evans around the left side sheds one tackle, makes another miss, and scores. Hello, Zach Evans. Rebels in front.
We've seen the same concept a couple of times in the 1st half. It was well defended. This time, not so much. Great job blocking up.
Illustrate further while they're trying to protect quarterbacks from you. Evans, big hole straight ahead. Got the first down, spins out of a tackle. Now gets the edge inside the 30-yard line. What a about me. Excellent block by Abby.
Nah. This is one of those players that if somebody like Cam Akers gets injured, then we might see him for a couple games. He could do alright, but it's more likely the Rams just lean even heavier into the run game if something like that happens. And at the most, he's one of those Rams running backs that have happened through the years of they might put up a decent stat line one year and then just completely vanish off the face of the planet, basically. So, another throwaway. Next, we get a punter, Ethan Evans, out of a Division II school, Wingate. Wingate. It sounds like something that they'd fucking accuse the Patriots of. Good God. But this video, though, is going to be narrated by this channel, Isaac Punts, so I will just let this one play.
So, your team drafted or picked up in free agency Ethan Evans. Here's what you need to know. Ethan is definitely the wild card of this draft class with easily some of the highest top end out of all the punters and kickers. He's out of D2, so he hasn't been able to play on the biggest stages possible, but he has every single bit of upside you would want. He hits consistent 60+ yard punts. He's a very solid directional punter with a bag of trick punts as well, and I've watched him break 5.0 punts like it's nothing, and he even has hit unofficial hang times of 5.9+ seconds, which is easily the top 0.001% of what any other punter can do. His kickoff leg is easily the best in this class, being able to hit 80+ yard kickoffs routinely. His biggest downside, though, comes that he hasn't played in anything close to NFL level pressure, and in his bowl games he put up good numbers, but with the size of his leg, his numbers were greatly underachieving on his potential. There's also subtle concerns with the speed of his operation and if he'll be able to get that down to the NFL standard. But without a doubt, if Ethan is able to consistently deliver just 70% of what his leg is capable of, you just got the pick of a lifetime with this guy, and you should feel very good about where you stand.
Mr. Clean.
Okay, so I don't really have much to add to that. The Rams might have just gotten themselves a pretty good punter. Eddie seems to be the only one on roster, so it looks like they're rolling with him unless they sign somebody. So, I guess we'll see how it goes. I've seen some of these lower down schools produce some just kicking monsters, so yeah, if he can do it, then he is going to be an interesting one to watch. And hopefully not too overworked either, because the Rams will hopefully, for at least the Rams anyways, be rebounding and not have to punt as much. So, next up we got safety, Jason Taylor II out of Oklahoma State. What the hell? What about caps lock going on there? So yeah, he only really starts to put up the starting level numbers in his final year there, but I think the final year is definitely what got him drafted, because 6 interceptions. But the interception return yards kind of suggests that he's kind of catching the arm punts and not doing much with returning them. Pass deflections are pretty good for a safety, I would say. Tackles about right where I want to see it. Not too much utility in, run stopping or get into the quarterback, which I don't really consider pass rushing to be the job of the safety anyways. No matter how people try to pretend that Jamal Adams is one of the league's best safeties.
Shapen to launch. He does sideline, and it's Taylor flagging it down. Jason.
Instead, he is dialed in, and the guy that has just made big
solid
play
bait.
After big play after big
But
play.
could stand to get that second foot down.
Continues to give up 40-plus points every week, so at least today in a win. Duggan juggled the snap, throws a slant, and it is incomplete. Quentin Johnston couldn't take it in. Jason Taylor had the cover.
He has it, but he can't finish it. And there it's ripped out. Beautiful play by Jason Taylor. Progressive pylon cam shows it to you. Ball is thrown in the right spot. And Jake
trying to lead them to a come-from-behind win. They were down 17 at one point. Duggan throws it deep. He has a man open, and it's batted away. A huge play by Taylor. Darius did to him before Taylor closed.
It's a beautiful play by Taylor. Because the ball hung in the air as long as it did, it allowed him to come from the middle of the field and knock that away because he was...
Ewers from the pocket. Throws a lob downfield. Oh, it's picked off at the 42-yard line. Jason Taylor with his second interception of the game.
Sideline after the interception. Looks like Colin Oliver is going to be able to get a little bit of pressure on Quinn Ewers, but he was looking for Bijan Robinson on that corner route. And been around the program, and the season just clearly not gone the way they anticipated.
Gabriel fires, knocked away, incomplete. Jason Taylor's got 4 interceptions on the season, made it good for the Pokes.
Well, he's an excellent player, the fifth-year senior, really good position there on Brady.
Big 12 hoping to get TCU into that top 4. And is it intercepted? Yes! 3A football in Texas. Morton showing that his legs are okay.
Okay, so I think that this has the potential to be one of those steal sort of players because he wasn't really playing his first 2 years, didn't do too hot his third, but then just kind of came out on his fourth year, and what I could see there is he's doing a reasonably good job against competition that I've seen some of those guys. I liked quite a few of those guys, and he was able to hold his own. So, that's a 7th round safety holding his own with, first, second, third round receivers, running backs, picking off quarterbacks that I've, heard of before, like Quinn Ewers there. So it's like, this has the potential to be one of those players that eventually emerges at the NFL level. But 7th round, it's still definitely very difficult for that to happen. So don't expect it, but maybe don't forget him either. And that brings us to this year's Mr. Irrelevant, defensive tackle Dejuan Johnson. And we finally had one of these kind of actually do something in the NFL last year when Brock Purdy, went off. And that's kind of alerted people a little more to the last pick of the draft. And there's been, obviously some speculation. Will it happen again? But the defensive lineman from a MAC school, I'm not really going to be betting too heavily on that. That tackle number is ridiculous for a defensive end. Solid against the run, but again, this is the MAC conference, so not expecting to see too much that I haven't already seen, and we're only going to get a tiny little bit from his selection point on ESPN from the draft.
Getting up the field, he can work off the edge as well and flatten and finish. So you can move him around. He's explosive. You watch him against Eastern Michigan. He can cross the face. He'll change directions in a heartbeat. Does not have long arms, so 31 7/8 inch arms, but 40+ quarterback pressures in 2022. CD. This guy plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Remember when Greg Gaines was a nice little tag team partner in there for Aaron Donald? This guy has a chance to fill that type of a role as well. So it'd be interesting to watch and see and find out what they want to do.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that there is some potential here, but I didn't really get the feeling from that little serving size that he was exactly better than his competition, just maybe a little smarter. So, maybe not a forget it pick, but definitely not one that I'm expecting to see too much out of. So that's going to bring this class to an end. And overall, I'm not very impressed with this. You've got the initial potential guys, Avila and Young. They'll probably be starters pretty early on. Stetson Bennett could be in the future. But a lot of the rest of this just probably isn't even long-term depth padding. A lot of this just speaks practice squad bouncing around the league. 5 years they'll have been on 9 teams sort of deal. So I'm going to have to probably give this maybe like a C- for a grade. It's not really looking like anything particularly special. The Rams know they can be a much better football team than last year, and so they're just kind of filling a couple small holes to try and get back to where they were. Though I have a feeling it's not going to be easy in that NFC West. The only bad team in that division I see this year is the Cardinals, who, of course, are going to be tomorrow's, probably later today's video, as I try to wrap this up at least before kickoff of the Hall of Fame game. So like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share it with your friends, follow me on Twitter if you like, and I'll be seeing you later on.